Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, we take the bonsai pot tank to the next level. The basic structure of the bonsai pot tank has been put together. So I've got the frame within the frame. Everything is ready to be stained. I want to stain it now as the next step before we start doing some other intricate work. So we'll get that stain on there, let that dry before we put some epoxy over it, and then we'll have some other things to do. So let's quickly go look into the staining process of the bonsai pot tank.
I'm in the old plant room and we're about to put some stain on the new bonsai pot fish pond combo. So I was able to get legs on, and this is the front of the pot right here. I'm just going to stain the outside, this top lip, the outside legs, and then a little bit of the bottom lip, and that's all we're gonna stain today. And I'm using a black stain, or excuse me, a gray stain that we've used a lot on some projects we've done around the house, and it's going to be real dark, kind of a slate gray, which will kind of match some of the rocks I'm using. I want it to kind of blend in with the rocks. I don't want the pot to be like a real eyesore, a real standout pot. I want it to kind of blend in with the rocks a little bit, so it almost looks like one kind of combined piece. That's my thought anyway. So we're going to go ahead and stir this up, and we're going to get some stain on the outside here and get that taken care of. Just going to use some paper towels today, rub it in, let it soak in for a little bit, and rub it off. And after this dries, we'll probably put a coat of poly over it, 1 or 2 coats of that, to give it a little bit of a sheen. And more importantly, we want to make sure that it has some good waterproof characteristics. We want to make sure it's going to be super waterproof if I'm bringing it out in the elements. So I want to do the sides and the back first, and then the front. Maybe I'll do the front first. I think I'll do the front first. And this is one of those stains where we want to take it off as fast as we put it on if we want any grain to show through the wood. And again, I am going for a dark look, so if it's relatively solid, that's fine. I'm not worried about that. It'll be a nice look for the rocks. And so there we have the front portion of the new pot. And again, where we have some real light spots, we can go back over and give it a little bit more stain. And there we go. So I want to do the front side first, and I'm going to try not to touch that side very much. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the side here and put a little bit more on. So let's finish this up. So there we have the pot stained. A little darker than I had hoped. I wanted to see a little more grain. We got some grain in here. When we shine this up, that might highlight that a little bit. Some side grain, a little bit of grain in the feet, down here in the back. But it's a nice dark color, and again, I want this to be a color that's going to kind of blend into the rock structure. And so the trees shine up on top and really stand out, and then the fish inside the tank kind of stand out. And the rocks will be kind of dark slates as well, and grays, and maybe some dark browns. So we got it all stained. The inside up here will be pond liner. So we'll put pond liner on here and Flex Seal to seal all this off. And then we'll do some of that on the bottom as well. I'm considering staining this as well. It'd be nice to have just a coat of stain over it all. So I might do that. But for sure on this level, I'm not going to bother staining up in here because this is going to be some Flex Seal. And then that's going to hold on the pond liner. And then the pond liner will be used with some acrylic sealant for the fiberglass I have for the fish tank, and then the little path of rocks I have here for the fish tank inside. So we'll let this dry, and we'll Flex Seal some rubber on here eventually, and probably again give this a bit of a shiny coat with some poly at some point. So there it is. We're gonna have to let it dry for a while.
Now that the Bonsai pot tank base has been stained, it needs to dry, and we're going to put some epoxy on it later. Now it's time to construct a couple of the side pieces of the inner workings of the Bonsai pot tank. So my vision is to have the waterway in the middle with some raised rock beds, if you will, and trees on either side. And so I have to raise that, and I want to do that with some wood where we can build rocks around it, but not just a big pile of rocks, because it would be super duper heavy. Plus I need a box contraption, some kind of a rectangle shape where bonsai soil can fit in. So it's kind of like an inner pot within this big pot. The actual first stage of the bonsai pot is really just a frame. It's not even where any of the soil in the end is going to be. So let's take a peek at the construction of the side pieces that will hold some of the rocks and eventually the soil of the bonsai pots.
I'm out in the garage today working on building up the sides of the bonsai pot on either side of the glass. So as I take my measurements on the left side of the glass and the right side of the glass where you'll look through into the fish tank, I need to build up, make a couple of wooden frames that I can kind of lean my rocks against, put some rocks on top, and that'll actually kind of be almost like a pot within a pot. So I have to make a couple of just kind of wooden box frames, not solid, but just the edges and corners, and see if we can get them to fit in the bonsai pot, so we can put some rocks along the side and seal them on in with some acrylic aquarium sealant, and also maybe some craft cement that's going to be waterproof, and get all the rocks together. So I have to make a couple of boxes. So the 1x6s that I've used for the frame of the bonsai pot are the perfect size for the glass height to put these on either side of the fish tank, on either side of the glass, and then the water will be inside there, so make it almost like a fish tank, if you will. So these will be the outer inner edges of the fish tank right here and here, and I'll put some pond liner around here and pond liner around here, and that'll hold the water into this spot, and it'll be sealed up to the glass here and sealed up with a piece of wood on that side and some more pond liner. So I have to figure out how these other pieces are going to, where they're going to lay, how they're going to lay into the structure. So I know that they have to sit at least this high in order for it to be as high as the glass. And so this will be my frame holder. So I'll be able to put the front end like this and the back end like this, and then we'll have littler pieces parts to go on the other side here for the rocks to lay across. So then when this is built, I can put a couple of rocks up here in any shape, any design, and this will also be the holes where the soil will go down and the tree's roots will be able to go down into the pot. So it'll be very narrow in some spots, a little wider on the other end like this, kind of shaped like this, kind of an odd shape. But we're gonna go ahead and put that together here now. So my next question is how I'm going to actually make this into a box. So this is the inside, the waterway will be in here. And I have these attached to the floor plates here, these little floor plates on either side, back and front. And then I need another piece here, and I don't want to make it the same height because I want the rocks to kind of come up at a little bit of an angle. But if I put it right here, we'll be able to maybe lean rocks a couple places, or put a rock like this. I'll lean it in just a little bit like this, and then we'll have the soil in here. We'll get some roots in there, and we'll be able to grow some trees. Now, if I have another piece of wood here, or I made it this tall, then I have this big box, and it's kind of too much wood on the side. I don't want that much wood on the side for people to see. I want rocks to be there. So this will be one section in from the lip of the pot. There's another row inside the lip, so a rock will be able to sit like this right here and kind of lean in. And then this will be a rock that can lean in like this. So I think we're just gonna put these two pieces on these two boards, and we might be able to just get away with that. There's the base on that left side. And we're gonna put this right here and put this right here. And when those two are screwed together, they'll be nice and solid, and that'll be the frame for the structure on this left side. And we'll put some rocks up to here. So a rock might sit like this, from the lower section like that. Then we can put a rock up there like that, and we'll have some kind of little ledges on the way up towards the top of the pot, and then the roots can sit inside. So I'm going to put some screws into these downstairs in the workroom and see if this fits for the right side of the bonsai. So after a quick measurement in the fish tank bonsai pot, I realized that I was hoping I could maybe even angle this piece of wood so the water would look like it's almost like a cliff going down into the water. And again, there will be a pond liner around here, and then rocks will lean up against here. And so the water line will be no higher than this. But in order to do that, I will end up connecting this at an angle and then putting this on, securing it like that. And this piece will hold this on as an angle. But then I also realized in the inner liner of the pot, I used the 1x2 for the height. So I'm gonna have to put this, rest it right on here, and rest this one on here. And then, like I said, this will have to be the securing factor. Or I need this to be in the bottom of the fish tank. And then when I connect these two at an angle, whatever that angle is, this will rest right on top of that right there. So we have to cut these to about an inch bigger than what I had put these before. So I had 4 1/4 or 4 3/4, 4 3/4 and 5 1/4. We have to add an inch to those. So now, down in the plant room, in the bonsai pot, this will sit there, in here, but this will be at an angle resting on that, and then I'll have a connection right there that's parallel with that. So it's going to have to be flat with this, so it's going to be attached right there, or right there I should say. No, right there. So this has to be 1 inch, 2 inches shorter to account for that. So the right side of the bonsai pot fish tank combo is done. So I cut a little bit of an angle on the front and back so we could have this sloped a little bit so it gets deeper and deeper. Pretty fast slope, of course, but it's better than just straight up and down. And then as this sits in the pot, there's another lip here, right there, and then the outside of the pot is right here. So with this extra lip here, I can put a rock here, and then I can put another rock up here that goes a little bit higher. So this will sit actually down, really down low here. So there's the lip of the pot right here. Here's this right here. This rock will fit right there and form kind of a wall. And then we can put a rock up here and form some more wall. And then when that wall's up here, we can put rocks on top or decide how we want to construct that. So this is the right side. So when the pond liner is at the bottom and protecting the bottom, this will scoot right on top, and now we have to make the other side. Now the challenge with the other side is that it's at an angle because I want to have a waterfall on the second side. So on this side, we're going to have a bit of a shape. Well, let's pretend this was the shape. It's going to be like this. So then I have to make it about 8 inches this way and about 5 inches this way. So it's only about a 3-inch deviation, but this will be harder to put on. We'll have a much bigger angle here. So I might use this for the back for a lot better support, and I'll be able to cut this board right with the pencil line, and I'll be able to make that fit real nice for a back support system. So, and we won't see the back, so I don't care that it's all wood, so I'll make it flat. And so I'll be able to have, this piece is big enough to have an 8-inch section. So we're downstairs in the plant room, and I've got the pot. The stain is still drying. I got the glass in place. I still haven't taken off the protection until the very end. Here's the first structure we made. We got the little slant, and this is going to sit right here. Still gives me a gap here. There's no gap here. I'm sorry, there's a gap here, right there. It's going to fit right there. So we have the gap here, and there's no gap in the back, but I don't care about the back. And so we're going to be able to put a rock up like this, and then a rock up like that. And we have a little bit of taper in our mountainside as we get up to the spots for the tree. Doesn't leave a whole lot for big trees in here, but definitely enough where we could have some trees up here with roots going down and hanging over the side of some sort. We'll be able to worry about that when the trees grow later in its life. So that's that one. Now we have to see if we've made all our cuts appropriately for this one. So this is going to sit back here. This is going to sit right here. This one has the angle. It's going to sit right here. And this one has the angle back there. It's going to sit back there. So as I place the front pieces in place, they're fitting really, really nice, but I'm off by that back thickness, that 7/8 of an inch for the lip back there, in order for this board to fit inside the fish or the bonsai pot, not on the outside on top of the lip. So we just have to cut about 7/8 of an inch off. I could even go full inch just to give it some wiggle room, and we'll be all set with that back piece. So an inch off here, an inch off here, and we can come screw these together. After making the final cut, the shapes fit in here really, really good. Now the only trick about this one is not going to be perpendicular to the wood. This one's going to be a little bit at an angle, which will be covered up by, again, pond liner. So if it's not perfectly plumb and lined up in here, that's quite all right. We just want to make sure we have a basic structure, and it'll be close enough, right? So we're going to go ahead and put these screws in, and we'll get that one situated. Now that I got the pieces in there, let's put it up on the table and give you a better perspective. So here's the current situation with the bonsai pot and fish tank.
We got the plexiglass in place, real nice and snug there, temporary but snug. We're going to take the plastic protection off last so we don't make any scratches. So in today's segment, I was just working on these side pieces. We have the stain on there, that's still drying a little bit. We're going to put a layer of poly over that, get it nice and protected from the elements, though this will be indoors most of the time. But if I have a nice place on my deck, I'd love to put it out there, but I'll need electricity and I have to make sure the weather's not going to be bad for, you know, the fish and all that. So I created these slanted sections to go in here. It's a little bit of a frame, and a frame over here that goes inside like this. We'll have a piece of pond liner that'll sit in here like this. And then we'll have sealant between the rocks, and you will be able to have this as a fish tank. And this pond liner will be what will keep the water from getting to all the wood. So we'll just put it up against this, we'll bring it over the top here, make it nice and tight, and then we'll be able to spray some Flex Seal on the cracks and also some sealant, fish tank sealant, and get us going. And then we're going to have, of course, a tree up front somewhere, a tree in the back, maybe 3 small ones here, 2 small ones here. What I would really like to have is a bigger tree on one of the front ends here, and then perspective smaller trees in the back. And this one jets a little bit more this way. This is straight back. And so we have a little bit more space here. There's going to be just hopefully a little bit of a waterfall right here. So in the back of the tank, if I were to lift it up and show you the bottom, I have a hole through the bottom of this side where we can put cables in there, we can get our filter in there or our pump situation, and have a little small pump inside the fish tank, and it'll be able to work wonders, we hope. That's the goal anyway. So there we have the next phase. This is loose right now. I'm going to put a piece of pond liner underneath all of this and then lay this on top and try to secure it if I can with a screw or 2. We'll see. Or we'll just leave it on there and the force of the water and the rocks will do all the rest. We'll have to determine that as we get a little bit further along. But this is a good place for me to stop today. These are all secure, they're looking fine. No one will see any of this, of course, because it'll be covered by pond liner and then rocks as they stagnate. So if I have these rocks right here, these thin ones, and I have this covering up right there, and then I have this going up here like this, and I can put some sealant in here. I can put some craft cement in here, and then if I grow moss over here, and we just have some of these rocks that are big and skinny and can fit in the cracks of all this, like there's one that can fit right there at an angle, and then we have this one right here at an angle. It's shooting out weird, let's put it that way, and say this is here. And then that sits like right there, and we can fill cracks, and again we'll put some bonsai soil inside here, and the trees will grow, maybe the roots will grow underneath here, and who knows what's going to be in the end. We've cracked a few rocks, made a couple different sizes, and we'll work on that in the coming weeks when we're getting closer to being able to put this thing together. So these are going to do just fine. I'll just have to figure out how I'm going to connect them, and we'll be able to go on from here. Another section completed for today. Very similarly to the work of bonsai, I'm always working on slowing down, think things through, and we'll try to get to a solution. And typically, I make things and then afterwards I go, I should have done that differently. But that's why you learn. And when you do stuff with bonsai as well, at least for me, I do some things, sometimes a little bit rash, sometimes a little bit quickly, and then I learn from those moments, and we try not to do that again. So the tank pot bonsai contraption is starting to get a little bit further along. We've got a long way to go though, and now I really have to take the next several steps. I do have to take a step back. I have to take some time to think about what I want to do. The creative kid in me just wants to like stack up a bunch of rocks and put them on there and let's go. But I have to think about how the fish tank's gonna operate, where there's gonna be an air bubbler in there, and I'm gonna have to heat this tank if it's gonna be tropical fish, right? You can't just put goldfish in there. Oh, I could, but I want to put the tropical fish. And that brings up another great point. So far in the showing of my big winter project here, I've gotten some great comments from people about the project in general, but here's the question I lay out in front of all of you, is which fish should I put into the bonsai pot tank? Now, I originally thought a whole bunch of neon tetras, just get a school of about 10, 15 neon tetras. You have to be careful with fish tanks because the general rule of thumb is about an inch of fish per gallon. I'm only going to have about 3 gallons of water in this thing, so I really can only have about 3 inches of fish. But if you have more filtration than you need, I can get away with a little bit more fish. But I have to put the smaller fish in there as well, mainly for scale. If I've got this rocky cliff with trees and I have some fish that are this big in there, those would be like monster fish the size of you and me. So the neon tetras was my first pick, and I just thought, because I've always liked them, that I would maybe try to put those in there. And I thought the scale was right. But I do have a note here to remind everybody, I've got a couple of people, more than one, who have said, how about a cardinal tetra? I'm asking you all now, shoot me some texts through the YouTube channel, some comments. Tell me what fish you would recommend for the bonsai pot tank. So I've gone to the store recently and taken a peek at some of the fish. And so I'm going to be thinking about those as we move along, but I want your opinion first. So send me in a comment, what fish type would you put in this small little fish tank? Now you haven't seen it really develop yet, so it's kind of hard to see scale, but think about 3-gallon tank, a little 3-gallon tank. What kind of tetra? It's probably the kind of fish I will be getting, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So I can't wait to see those. Hey, happy holidays, everyone. I hope you're having a great holiday season. The new year is just upon us, as far as when I'm releasing this video anyway. If you're watching it after the new year, well, happy new year to you, and I hope it's a great one. Take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and you know what? We're going to see you very, very soon, I guarantee it.